Now I request Honorable Chief Guest Padmashri Professor Dr. G.D. Yadav sir to deliver Chief Guest speech.
Namaskar. Distinguished audience, Sri Shahaji Bhad, Sri Bokhare, Mrs. Gauri Pawar on the dais, Dr. Mohan Dongre. In the audience, I see the stalwart Sri Y.H. Garpure, who was responsible for inviting me over here. Then I also see Sri Chaugule, Dr. Sanjay Kamble, Dr. Bhandari, Srikant, and many others who are here present for this program. Ladies and gentlemen, as was told that material and energy balance is very important for sugar industry. So I will, tell you something which you may not know. The sugar industry, in Maharashtra and Uttar Pradesh, and for that matter in Andhra Pradesh, has been responsible for many different ideas. And one of the things these sugar factories did was, social engineering. They started schools, colleges, engineering colleges, and provided a platform for young aspirants from that area. And I have been connected with some of these and also visited them on a number of occasions. So, that is one part of the story. But what is important is that the farmers always compare what rate they are getting per ton for their produce. They always compare that. And some factories are always mentioned that so and so factory is better than so and so factory, and they normally compare their local factory with that. I also hold a share of a sugar factory, so I can tell you that. But that is not enough. And also our Honorable Prime Minister mentions and has been mentioning that the farmer's income should be doubled. How do you double it, right? How do you double it? Not by using the current technologies or the philosophy what sugar industry has been practicing. So what is required, and so how material and energy balance is going to be important, that also I will tell you. What is required is that you must look at sugar industry from the viewpoint of biorefinery. So we have, petroleum refineries, everybody knows about it. And they make tons of money. So will biorefinery be responsible for increasing the productivity of the, sugar cane, and also make use of each and every part of that farm produce? So one important thing is that, normally he gave some statistics, very important statistics. So what should be the approach? The approach is reducing energy consumption per unit mass of sugar which is produced. That is number one. How do you reduce that energy? That means you have to do heat pinching. So wherever excess energy is produced, required, can some of this energy be recovered, reused? This is in chemical engineering, we call it as process intensification. We have to intensify the process. That means we have to increase the throughput and reduce the energy consumption. Then only we'll make profit. That is one part of the story. Another is that, you look at the sugar cane. So typically you look at the so-called, a yield from that sugar cane, utara, sakreza utara. So you say it is, what should be 10%, 12%, 13%. Has it been increased over a period of time? And if it has been, what are the reasons for that? And if it not, then what do you do? So remember, so only you are talking about 12% of the sugar. You are not talking about the rest of the part. For example, bagasse. Okay, now are the molasses which you get. Okay, that is another part of the story. For instance, bagasse. Why should we use bagasse? So-called cogen. Everybody talks about cogen. People have made millions of rupees or dollars by selling these cogen plants. Cogen is a bad idea, I must tell you that. It's an extremely bad idea because what you are doing, you are burning a very valuable source of energy and material by burning it and generating energy. And of course, you generate carbon dioxide. So sometimes the international agencies or even government policies say that, okay, this is carbon neutral because you are producing something, the carbon dioxide goes into the atmosphere and then it is, taken back through plants, whatnot, or you should have some technology to reduce this carbon dioxide. So why I say cogen is a bad idea? Because farmers' income cannot be increased by that. So how do you increase? How do the sugar factories give more money per tonnage? It is by also converting this biomass into something else. And what about the water part of it? Water is going to be a very expensive commodity. Water is, and sugar cane is the most water intensive crop, like rice, like soybean. Okay, these are water intensive crops. So what new technologies you can use to reduce the water consumption per unit, sugar cane or per unit sugar produced from that? That is one part of the story. So what sort of technologies can be used to reduce this water consumption? So water recycle, reuse is very, very important for sugar industry. So you are talking about, steam. So much of steam is being generated and used. So why not think of something else? Why burn this biomass, the bagasse? And why not use solar energy, for instance, or wind energy? Can we use that? Nowadays, there are plants available which use both solar and wind together. Because solar energy is not available 24/7. It is available only 6-7 hours at the most. And the efficiency also depends which part of the country you are. So solar energy, and wind energy, because wind is always available. And so there are plants now which are being sold in the market where you can use both together. So you can, optimize the use of land and whatnot. So that is one part of the story. Another part of the story is how much fertilizer you use per unit sugar cane and what is the yield you get. So sometimes some fellows get awards for having more sugar, from the same field, but they have cut somewhere else and put there to get the award. So they are actually self-cheating. It is self-cheating. Why do you do that? If you have a technology, it should be implemented by others also. Therefore, increasing the sugar yield by using minimum fertilizer, that is another idea where this is very important. So nowadays, since water is hugely used, or pesticides are used or fertilizers are used, can we not use drone technology to spray it? Because drones are going to be very, very important. And so again, we have to make use of this artificial intelligence or the so-called IoT to spray these fertilizers, spray these pesticides, weedicides and whatnot. That is what is required. And so you consume less quantity of fertilizer. So, that goes to the required, say, sugar cane or any other biomass which you use, any other crop. One of the things which happens, and the farmers are guilty for that, you cannot land in Delhi during December and January because so much of pollution. The air quality index goes above 400 and particulate matter in the atmosphere. There is poor visibility. So flights cannot land. They are always delayed. That means they consume more fuel. So more carbon dioxide comes into the atmosphere. So why are they burning it? Because the farmers are thinking that if they burn the residue, agri residue, that will convert into carbon, and that carbon will be helpful for, or it will also kill the weeds and pests and whatnot, and that will help them. But that is not correct. actually they are burning very valuable biomass which could be a source of chemicals, fuels and materials. And there are large number of these chemicals which can be produced from biomass. So if your sugar industry has to survive and make money, then they must look at the waste. They must look at the waste, and that waste is bagasse. So from bagasse we can have cellulose, hemicellulose, lignin. The lignin part is normally burnt, so it is not required to be burnt. We can use it for making very valuable chemicals. And the cost of these chemicals varies anywhere between $5 a kg to $10 a kg. So the other issue is, sugarcane molasses and, converting that into ethanol, bioethanol, so-called bioethanol. What is the policy of the government? And in fact, when I attended this VSI conference in January, there was a discussion on this, that the farmers were asked, the sugar factories were asked to, where sugar cane directly could be used for making ethanol, okay? And they invested a lot of money, and the government meanwhile changed the policy. So that was a blow to the sugar factories. So, one of the things which is very, very important here, bioethanol. So this process is well established, known. So some of the things, you use, certain bacteria, ferment it and produce. And that concentration of this ethanol cannot be more than 12-13%. We like human beings, the bacteria drink more of this alcohol, they die. Okay, 12% is the limit, okay, argument's sake. Then again the problem is recovering this ethanol from this, alcohol, aqueous solution using the huge tall distillation columns. So can something be done there? So, you look at the energy intensity of this process, how much alcohol you recover, and what is the cost of that. So typically, if you want, say, for example, 1 lakh tons, 1 lakh liters rather of alcohol per day, the cost of this plant will be anywhere between 800 to 900, crores. Yeah, 900 crores. That is a very expensive thing. In fact, there have been technologies which have been developed. They talk about using enzymes, supported enzymes, but they have not yet become, commercially viable. So fermentation technology is used across the world. So why not use something else where the energy intensity of the distillation column can be reduced? Distillation is highly energy intensive. So for example, I'm giving you some ideas. I'm a consultant, but I'm giving you the ideas. Supposing we use something which is immiscible with water, for example, you use kerosene or something else, hydrocarbon, you can extract ethanol directly into that, and then you don't have any problem, and then you take that ethanol, and that is, of course, government wants it. Suppose I take petrol and there is a policy that we want to have, say, 22% ethanol in petrol or some 5 or 10%, that is the policy of the government. Why not use it directly? So we avoid all these processes, distillation processes, and this can be directly sold in the market, okay, because that petrol or diesel can be used as an extractant for the ethanol which is produced in the sugar, these molasses factories are so-called ethanol factories, distilleries. This is a very common word used by sugar producers, distillery. Distillery means ethanol distillery. But I will go beyond that. Ethanol distillery, yes, you should have ethanol, but blending ethanol in any of these hydrocarbons which are used as fuels is not a good idea, again. So I'm telling you why it is a bad idea. The bad idea is for this reason, that the ethanol, because remember, by 2054 we will not have any crude oil. We will not have any crude oil. Why? Because the crude oil stock which is available in Mother Earth will be exhausted, number one, or there will be technologies, or the crude oil will be very expensive. Now supposing it is $100 a barrel today, it may become $200, and then it is not economical. So there has to be an alternate technology which can be used instead of crude oil. So that is again biorefinery. That is where the farmers can play a very important role. But why I'm saying this? Because once you have ethanol, I can dehydrate it, make ethylene, and produce 11 different high value chemicals, which will give you much more income, maybe triple the income than what you get by selling a liter of ethanol. Okay, a liter of ethanol. That is, so bioethanol blending, why the government is encouraging it? So I'm telling you the reason. Because we have such a great import bill that has to be reduced. And the idea of the government is to increase the farmers' income through bioethanol production. That policy is good. And what our government is saying, by 2030, 50% of our energy will come from renewables. And these renewables will be solar energy, wind energy, biofuels and whatnot, okay? 50% of that. And by that, Government of India wants to reduce 45% of the carbon dioxide emissions which are going there. And our mandate is what? Our mandate is that by 2070, we should have net zero. And what is net zero? That means whatever carbon dioxide we produce, we take care of it. Either we have too many plants to take care of it, or develop technologies which will capture carbon dioxide from power plants and other places and convert that carbon dioxide into fuels, chemicals, polymers and whatnot. So that becomes a part of bio-based economy. And in that bio-based economy, you will have hydrogen as a very important role. Hydrogen will play a very important role. Perhaps you know that I'm a member of this Government of India's Committee on Hydrogen Infrastructure. We had a meeting on last week. So what are they planning? They are planning that we should have hydrogen-driven fuels. And hydrogen is a very good fuel for IC engines, internal combustion engines. Hydrogen can be used in fuel cells. Hydrogen can be used in two-wheelers, three-wheelers, four-wheelers. They have big trucks, tankers and whatnot, even shipping industry, because shipping industry produces something like 5% of carbon dioxide. Okay, carbon dioxide will become a very important source of chemicals. Right now, our emissions, I will tell you numbers because I'm talking with some numbers. Before the pandemic began in 2020, January 2020 data suggests that we emitted, the concentration of the carbon dioxide was 410 ppm in atmosphere. When the industrial revolution started, something like in 750, if you take that as a base year, it was 280 ppm. So imagine we added so much of carbon dioxide. And during that particular year, it was a horrible year for mankind. In fact, we have forgotten everything. Right now, nobody is talking about pandemic. All of us are lucky to survive that. There were many of our close friends, associates, family members who died during that pandemic as if there is no tomorrow. That is what happened. So what happened on a particular date, that is 10th of April 2020, the crude oil price became negative. That means more crude oil was produced than that could be stored and transported. So they had to make crude oil and pay, okay, take my crude oil, I will give you $10 per barrel. That was the situation. There were 7 fracking companies, the petroleum fracking companies in Texas, in USA. They were to invest $7 billion in that fracking industry. You see that America is a great producer of crude oil. They were importing a lot of crude oil, but because of this fracking business, they became net producer of crude oil. So their economy was helped by this fracking. But the fracking fellows said, oh, there is no business. Now if the crude oil is negative, we are not going to be in the business. We will lose all our, whatever we have as a company. Remember, some of the pundits, the experts, energy experts during that time said, okay, hydrocarbon industry has no future. Hydrocarbon industries are dead and gone. Unless the crude oil price per barrel increases to $60 per barrel. Then only we will survive. That is what they said. So it was a horrible year. But still remember, in that particular month of April, we used to produce 97.5, that is the processing capacity of the refineries, 97.5 million barrels per day. That was the processing capacity of this industry, all refineries across the world. During pandemic, that capacity went down to 85 million barrels per day. Now, if the capacity goes down, that means the economy is stalled or going negative, and you know it had a horrible effect on every facet of economy. Still, in January 2021, when the concentration of CO2, carbon dioxide, were measured, they were 412 ppm. That means 2 ppm still we added. That means something was happening across the world, which we never realized. Correct? It was happening. Now you'll be surprised to know that that concentration went up by 10 ppm in another year. That means economy was restored. But carbon dioxide, and that is the major, right? So this, when they say net zero means that carbon dioxide has to be taken care of. Carbon dioxide does not mean that carbon dioxide is zero. Well, then all of us will die. Carbon dioxide is there, but the net zero means whatever we produce must be consumed by some process somewhere. And what is going to happen to that? So very interestingly, and what our Honorable Prime Minister in the Glasgow COP said, that India is committed to net zero 2070. China went a step ahead and said, we will do it by 2060. And the rest of the world, which is only 73% of the countries, they said, we will do it in 2050. They were all these advanced OECD countries. So 2070. Why? Because it will affect our population, our energy needs, and also government always takes some pragmatic view. Government always takes a pragmatic view. Particularly in case of India, we want to benefit the farmers, but at the same time, so let them produce bioethanol. But I told you before, this policy can continue maybe up to 2035, but beyond that, bioethanol should not be used as a fuel. I'm telling you as an expert. It should be used to make chemicals material. That means farmers can get more money per unit share, okay, provided they have good chairman of the factory. Jokes apart, what I'm trying to tell you is that yes, farmers can benefit if bioethanol is taken as a feedstock to make chemicals, fuels, materials. Another interesting aspect, this carbon dioxide, whatever we produce, how much we produce now? Last year we produced something like 36.4 gigatons, world as a whole. 36.4 gigatons, that is 36.4 billion tons of carbon dioxide. All processes taken together, including waste and whatnot. So what do we do? In that, India's contribution is 2.622 gigatons. We are less in comparison with the rest of the world. China produces 25%, United States produces 12%, European Union produces 7%, and other 29%, all other countries, including India. And we have to worry for our carbon dioxide emissions because we are the most populous country now. And we have to develop our own technology. Nobody is going to give us technology. Take it from me, because we will be competitors. And there are so many negative factors in the world. They don't want India to grow. I'm telling you that. I'm not a politician, but I'm telling you that we have to develop our own technologies where associations like yours can help the farmers, they can help the government, they can help policy matters. So where else? This hydrogen can be produced from biomass, from any biomass, including waste food. Do you want to know how much food we generate, waste food? Municipal solid waste, city like Mumbai, 9,000 tons per day. Of that, 50% is a biomass. And this biomass contains carbon. That means that biomass is useful to make many chemicals, including hydrogen. Okay, including hydrogen. So that is the bio-based hydrogen. So that is carbon zero, carbon neutral, but it is not carbon negative. What we require in the country is to have carbon negative technologies. So if I said 36.4 gigatons or billion tons, I have to bring down that number to 10 gigatons. Then only there will be a net zero. An alarming report was published last year on 18th May 2023 by the World Meteorological Organization. What did it say? That organization said, oh my God, the rate at which we are consuming fossil fuels and the rate at which we are producing carbon dioxide, the 1.5 degrees Celsius temperature rise, which we set as a goal in 2015 in the Paris Agreement. For that agreement, our Honorable Prakash Javadekar has gone. 195 countries signed that. That we are going to breach in 2027. That means we have to develop technology yesterday, not even tomorrow. So, although we say that we will have net zero by 2021, we would have achieved it unless we develop technology. So technology development is very, very important. And this is happening across the world. So we have to generate energy, we require it. So for example, our target, this so-called renewable energy target of Government of India, the Power Ministry gave a target, They said by 2030, we will reduce it to 50%. What is that? Solar energy, wind energy, and I may add hydrogen energy. In this, so this is my new trinity, like Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Hydrogen is going to be a savior. Hydrogen will be a trata, the savior. And why? Because wind energy and solar energy will not give me chemicals and materials, but hydrogen will give. Because hydrogen and oxygen can be used for any biomass to be converted into fuels, chemicals, and materials. And these will be all value-added materials. So any waste biomass can be used to convert into chemicals. And so that, there are two refineries which we normally compare, biorefinery versus petroleum refinery. In petroleum refinery, it is very easy because we have benzene, toluene, xylene, butane, these are the feedstock. We go on functionalizing it and make, primary industry, secondary, tertiary, and quaternary, and that is the polymer form. But in the other case, when you use biomass as a feedstock, you have to defunctionalize it. So defunctionalization means hydrogenation or hydrogenolysis and oxidation to make many chemicals. This is where the hydrogen economy is going to play a very, very important role. So coming back to this farmers, income, I think farmers should be taught about, so one of the problems I tell you, when we take biomass is very bulky. So transportation cost will be very high. So like, sugar factories, you started, with sugar factories and you claim that we have 100 mills as our members or 200 mills. They should have another sort of industry, and that is compaction of this biomass or densification. So कचरा आहे ना पाला पाचोळा तुम्ही आता पाला पाचोळा सोसायटी सुरू करा काय वाटेल ते म्हणा त्याला परंतु it is waste biomass should be densified so that transportation of that becomes easy from one place to another place. And the place where it will be taken will be the factories, chemical factories, where we convert this densified biomass into chemicals, fuels, and materials. That is required. So farmers must be told to transfer this densified biomass to some other place. And that will give them a lot of money. That is not only the sugarcane biomass. Any other biomass which is coming from rice husk or wheat or whatever or soya, all of that is very, very useful. Another problem with our society is that we are not valuing waste. आपण म्हणतो की कचऱ्याला काही किंमत नाही. This is the wrong philosophy. Kachra is very important. Waste is wealth. We have to value waste and we have to give money for that waste. So instead of giving freebies to the farmers, they should be given, incentive for collection, densification, and transportation of this biomass. Maybe supposing it is 6 rupees a kilo, government can give additional 2 rupees, so that environment is protected because we are committed to international treaty. At the same time, farmers are benefited. That is what is required. And in that biomass, for example, in the rice's biomass, 92% is silica. And that silica is very useful. It can go into tire industry and many other places. It can be used to make inorganic chemicals. So why not have a rethinking about all these things, biomass, biorefinery concept, where all these technology will be used, whether it is, evaporation, distillation, crystallization, all these things, material and energy balances. Well, I don't know whether you organize some lecture on MATLAB. MATLAB is a very good idea for teaching our chemists in the sugar factories and also our engineers how to, have, so-called optimization of processes in all these things. Okay, that is what is required. This is where, once again, as you rightly said, that this subject looks old. This subject is not mature, believe me. No science or no discipline is ever mature. Our idea is that the discipline will mature. If the moment the discipline becomes mature, that means we don't have any idea. We are brain dead, okay? And so we have to tell the farmers that make use of this biomass, convert into densified biomass, transfer it somewhere. So you should have, along with sugar factory XYZ Pala Pachoda factory. Okay, and that factory should be side by side, so it is not burnt. And the reason is that we want carbon in the soil. We require carbon in the soil. We require carbon for our survival, but we don't require carbon in the atmosphere. That is what is very important. Another interesting part, because this is related to our food processing industry, is one of the very important things which should be side by side. These sugar factories should promote food processing industry. It's not that, they are not doing it. They want quick money, आराम का पैसा, घरात 11 महिने घरात बसा, कुठेतरी कोणतरी पाणी सोडते शेतामध्ये, आला तर आला ऊस, मिळाले तर मिळाले, नाहीतर वरती, पुढाऱ्याचा ड्रेस करून कुणातरी मागे फिरा. We don't have to do that. We have to tell our farmers, we have to tell our people, agriculture is a very lucrative business. On the sideline, I'm telling you, 2 issues I will discuss. One is, we have so many agricultural universities, right? Yes. Just 2 days back, there was a report, a very interesting report. It says 1 rupee spent on agricultural research gives me 13.5 rupees. So it is very, very important. So why not? Your organization should support research and innovation in, universities, national laboratories and whatnot, so that the outcome is what? Making more from less. Another interesting idea. Why we waste? I tell you, the 2 issues. One is I will talk about plastic and another is food waste. Why there is so much of food waste? And we, on the contrary, we show pictures and sometimes we see videos through the WhatsApp university that people are dying of hunger. And one of the 17 goals of this United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, is reducing poverty and eliminating hunger, the first 2. Okay? So how do you do that? Our tillable land is going down day by day. Temperature of atmosphere is increasing day by day. That means we have to have new types of seeds, cereals, and variety of sugar canes which will bear this stress of high temperature, less humidity, less water. That is what is required. Assume. So if the sugar agricultural universities have to do research, they should think that the temperature of the globe by 2100 will be 3 degrees Celsius plus. So today, suppose in 35, it should be 38. Can your, new kind of cereal or new kind of plant or whatever, or a sugar cane variety bear that temperature? Why not do research on that now rather than waiting for that day to happen? That is required. And with regard to the sugar waste, this biomass or the food waste, why there is a lot of food waste? You go to any marriage party. I'm sure many of you are attending some marriage party of some relative or a friend, associate or whatnot. There are so many dishes, right from South Indian, Punjabi, Marathi, Gujarati, Thai, Malaysian, Italian, pizza and whatnot. Everything is there, right? And they make it so attractive. You are tempted to take it. So you go with your plate. This dish looks attractive. You take it. And then you find that it is tasteless. So you throw it. So more than 50% of food is wasted in all these marriage parties and so-called birthday parties or some anniversary parties or whatever party. Okay? They waste it. Why do they waste it? Because you are not paid for it. Somebody has called you there as a guest, so you think it is prerogative. If you don't eat it, that means you don't like the host. So therefore you eat it. And therefore you throw it. Supposing, I suggested this, supposing there is in front of each dish, you do it, some of you should do it now. If you are marriageable children or somebody, do this. Put a bowl there in front of that and put a note. You may look arrogant, but you will be practical. Dear Madam and Sir, please put 100 rupees in this dish if you like that dish and take the dish. I'm telling you, I'm not joking. Your wife will not allow you to touch it. Because she knows that you don't eat at home. Because it is free, you are taking it. Right? And at the end of the marriage ceremony or birth party, collect that money given to the bride and groom. Okay, so they get some money, some gift. Because we are not conscious about what waste we are generating. This is a very big source, and we all at the same time we say that there is somebody's dying of hunger. Hey, why this politician has not done this? But are you responsible as a citizen? Same is the case with water wastage. So when I go for doing my shaving, I keep the tap on. Okay, I don't know how much water I am wasting, and there are people who don't have even water. So why not develop technologies for water? So you have to literally sensitize general public. This is what is required, and they should not do it. So just do a calculation, mental calculation. We have 8 billion plus people, and let us assume 4 meals are taken a day, right from breakfast. In some villages, maybe taking 3, I don't know. But in cities, at least people take 4 meals, right? Assume each meal you waste 5 grams of food. How much? 8 billion people, 5 grams per meal, 20 grams at least. How much food wastage is generated? So this is another problem. We don't realize it. So any kind of carbonaceous material, whether it is food or plastic, so I'll come back to plastic also, it has a value. And so municipal solid waste management, what they do, when they segregate this waste, 80% of the money is spent on segregation. So what it contains is 50% is food waste, 11 to 12% is plastic waste, then debris, then hospital waste, all these kind of things, cement and whatnot. It is all there, metal. So we have to, if you do it at source, we collect. So maybe, in fact, I still remember, we still have that at back home, biogas generation, biogas plant. Many farmers were given 10,000 rupees subsidy that time so that they have biogas. The idea was to convert that into and biogas contains carbon dioxide and methane. Sometimes it may contain some sulfurous compounds like H2S or COS. So that biogas, about 45% to 50% is methane. Rest is sometimes ethane, not many higher hydrocarbons, but yes, that is the case. So why not convert that carbon dioxide into valuable chemicals? So we did this work. We have done this work on biomass. We had converted carbon dioxide into methanol, and methanol economy is the buzzword of our Niti Aayog. Then we are converted into carbon dioxide to dimethyl ether. Dimethyl ether is a very good substitute for petrol, diesel and LPG. So we can mix. We don't have to create another infrastructure for, dimethyl ether, because the same infrastructure can be used. We can use this so-called SNG, where you convert carbon dioxide into methane, and it will have some hydrogen which can go up to 20%. And so it becomes, you increase the calorific value of that. So you remember, nothing should be taken as a waste. Nothing. We have to value the waste and see how I make money. So Bhangarwalas will have a lot of good days in future. We looked at Bhangarwala as if it is a useless business. That is, we have to change that attitude. They are serving society. They are collecting waste and they are giving you value, right? And incidentally, I am telling you this. And most of the sugar factories have also milk dairies and whatnot, right? And how do you distribute milk? With polythene bags. You put that milk in that polythene bag and it goes home. So 50 rupees, 60 rupees, whatever. I would suggest, why are you not charging for that plastic, which is a polythene? So the polythene bag charge maybe 20 rupees per bag, whether it is half a liter or 1 liter or whatever, including this PET bottle which is lying there, or the straw also, which may be. So irrespective of the shape, size, I can charge money on that. So what is going to happen? So, people, many times people say, no, Arey, take your jute bag, or take cloth bag to the market and don't take the plastic bag. But they're foolish, I'm telling you. Every material which you produce requires energy and it denudes the forest. Plastic was introduced to stop denudation of forests. But what happened? Over a period of time, the technology was so much developed that plastic became thinner and thinner and stronger and stronger. So the plastic what the bhaiya gives you costs nothing. It may be 1 or 2 paise. So you say, why charge 1 and 2 paise? Madam, how many you want? Take these 2 extra bags. And since it is free, you take more. And what do? It is free, therefore you dump it, throw it. Correct? You throw it. Suppose that bag was 10 rupees or 20 rupees per bag with a barcode in that. So I collect it because it is collected. So like, for example, you have a newspaper by coming home everywhere, right? He drops the newspaper. In the morning, after you read, your housewife that keeps it and then sells it. Because many times the content in the newspaper is worth raddi only. But then your housewife doesn't throw it because she knows it has got a value. Why she throws that plastic bag? Because it has no value. Supposing she has that bag, she will nicely keep it clean because she will not waste even 1 drop of milk. She will clean it nicely. 3-4 vada pani ghalun, halun. She will take the milk out and the bag is there ready. You don't have to do cleanliness. And then it is segregated at source and another boy comes. We generate employment also. Another boy comes, picks up that bag and says, Madam, how many you have got? 4, 5. Take this. He takes 5% commission because he has to survive, right? So he says, Madam, this is your 40 rupees. Okay, remaining I have taken as a 5% commission. Digital economy will be promoted. So he doesn't have to give cash, transfer through UPI. It will come to your account. Housewife will be very happy because she has got her money back behind the husband, okay? Husband doesn't know she's getting money, but he has wasted money. So this is what is required. We have to change our attitude to waste, generation of waste. And I will tell you very interestingly, all these plastic material, for example, this PET bottle, only the rack pickers collect PET bottle. They don't collect any plastic thing, right? Including the foam. They just dump it there because this is recycled. The top is, polypropylene. The bottle is PET, and this can be recycled very nicely. In India, 90% of that is recycled. Reliance is a big business. We did some work on that, how to recycle, PET in the form of ethylene glycol and terphthalic acid. So it is possible. Because it has value, after we finish our lecture, all these battles will vanish. because it has got money. It is not. So that is the philosophy. You make each and every citizen responsible and conscious that they are generating waste, but that waste has value, therefore it should be recycled. Ladies and gentlemen, another industry is a steel industry where hydrogen will come to, and this plastic, for example, hydrogen will be another savior there, because we can do hydrogenolysis, hydrogenation, oxidation, and we create new materials and chemicals. So to sum and substance, farmers' income can be even double or triple, provided we look at all these waste as a value. Okay, so DSTA should promote this. You were doing something good in the past and you saved money, but that is not enough. If one technology creates a problem, another technology must solve it. That is the solution. Okay, ban is not the solution. The government of India's policy of banning single-use plastic and claiming, oh, we achieved something. So once I was called in Mantralaya and the secretary said, sir, we want your advice. I said, what is that advice? Well, we have this problem, plastic problem. So I told him how to recycle it. I gave some of these ideas. You know what he said? We have already decided to ban it. Then I got upset. I said, why the hell you called me? You wasted my time also, right? When you are decided to ban, what is the fun in calling me? I am telling you, you can make money. Let Maharashtra be the first state to charge for each additional thing, which is refundable deposit. Believe me, we will reduce the burden on the environment. The net zero goal will be achieved faster. That is what should be done. That is what is required. Policy change, and this has to start with the farmers, sector, farming sector, agricultural sector. Otherwise, most of these agricultural scientists, whosoever takes degree, they end up in Mantralaya, they take up jobs somewhere, they appear for this MPSC. They don't do real agriculture. They think it is below dignity. And I was horrified to know this, that girls don't want to marry farmers. What a pity, A farmer's son doesn't get a bride because that girl thinks this is a below dignity job. This has to be changed. This has to be changed. So we have to tell farmers can be rich, farmers can be innovative, they can produce more from less, and also contribute to the society in much, much bigger way. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for inviting me. I hope I have entertained you by some lighter comments. But I mean it. It's quite seriously, I mean it, that we have to change our attitude to waste and how to convert waste into wealth. I wish all the best to your, this is a so-called workshop or continuum education. What is this? Seminar. Why do you call it as a seminar? You are going to educate everybody here. So, right? It is a continuous education. That is what is required. Seminar, yeah, they will say, अरे मला माहिती आहे फक्त रजा घेऊन फॅक्टरीमधनं दुपारी कुठेतरी पुण्यात फिरायला गेला. काय करू शकताय तुम्ही? आणि if you want to give some rewards or some gift, including the bag, do it in the last session, not in the first session. You will save a lot of bags, I can tell you that also. Which you can return to the fellow from where you got them. Because most of the time, people come in the first session, take the bag and disappear. And they tell their managers, bosses, superior bosses, sir, I attended. Then that fellow should ask, can you just write down, what did you listen to Professor Yadav? They will say, yeah, I was there, but I did not listen. I was playing with my mobile phone. Jokes apart. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you, sir.